right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining on today's episode of Bold TV. Beautiful, outstanding ladies with disabilities. A program brought to you by Bold Park Network. And indeed, we are here once again, just like we are always every other Saturdays of the week, to discuss issues as it affects and concerns us as women and girls with disabilities. Today is not going to be an exception to that rule. I've got my ladies, and together we shall be talking about the prevalence of GBV, gender-based violence, amongst women with disabilities. So very quickly, I would be granting the ladies the honor to please introduce themselves. Kindly tell us your name, your kind of disability, what you do, and any other interesting thing about yourself you'd like us to know.
My name is Grace Oluwatosin Awolunte. I am a person with disability. I work on 4 arm crutches. I'm based in Ibadan and I'm a gospel music minister. Thank you.
My name is Mary Musta, and I am visually impaired, like so missing. We're together in this. I'm a lawyer, I'm a human resource practitioner, and I'm a humanitarian. I'm based in Abuja, and I love looking for trouble in a nice way.
Hi everyone, my name is Frankie Andresian, based in Port Harcourt in Rivers State. I use a wheelchair from spinal cord injury. I'm a public health professional, the Idio Faker Foundation, member of Bold Hearts Network, and an inclusion strategist. Good to be here. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Osaki Teresa George. I reside in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, polio survivor, member of Bold Heart Network, work with Faker Foundation, a trainer in Microsoft applications. I love to be here. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. My name is Oluwatomi Adeyefa. I'm a visually impaired person. I'm a broadcast journalist, a sound engineer, a gender and disability rights advocate, a teen counselor, and I love music. And I also love to talk. So thank you, ladies, for joining this time. And like I said earlier, we are talking about the prevalence of gender-based violence amongst women with disability. And our premise is still going to be the documentary that we, watched some time ago. We've watched the story of Latifat Adeleye. We are going to be bringing you 2 other stories today, that of Yemisi Isado and Ashabi, also in the documentary. They will be telling us how they were able to come out of GBV at the time it happened. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the story of Yemisi Isado and Ashabi as they talk to us about their journey around gender-based violence.
After enduring bouts of spousal abuse from an equally hearing impaired husband, Yemisi Isado finally got the courage to walk away in 2020.
My name is Yemisi Isado. I married my husband almost 22 years now. We have a child, but every time there is always fight out of jealousy. So whatever I did, whether to talk to a man, it's always complain. He will beat me. He doesn't want me to talk with any man, even neighbors. It's an abomination to him. Every time he always suspects me. From beating, one of my teeth removed. I also miscarried 3 times because of beating. If at the hospital, doctor knows us for fighting every time. I was always lying down on the hospital bed. Not until last year, April, he suspected me, saying, and my daughter was at home that time during lockdown. I don't know what came over him out of jealousy. just story, unnecessary story. There's sex, and he started beating me. Serious one. I got serious beating in the presence of my daughter. She was ready to kill herself. When my daughter saw that the problem is too much, that I don't want somebody to kill me, it's better we separate. Luckily, my daughter called the police at first tag. They came to help us. That is how they packed us to the police station. They asked us what I want. I told them I need peace of mind. I have BP because of this problem. My heart is always beating fast. My blood pressure is always high. And the police wrote the report that I should move out. My family knew about it and I moved out with my daughter. From there, he never think about his daughter. I'm the only one responsible for her. Now, thank God, the girl is out. She has graduated from the university. You should always think about the child, and not me. You should think about the child. One time, lady asked for money. She said no. I'm the only one responsible for her upbringing. Reason why I stayed long, especially because of my late mom. She did not want me to divorce. Whatever she sees, she will tell me with time it will stop. With time it will stop. Bear, leave. I will also sit and think, if I leave him, many people will mock me. They will mock me because of shame that I leave my husband, marry. It's better for me to continue.
Out of the marriage by mutual separation orchestrated by the police. Now, Yemisi focuses on her passion for fish farming as well as advocating for the rights and empowerment of women with hearing impairment in Lagos. Ashabi also got a bitter dose of sexual and gender-based violence. Just recovering from a toxic marriage, she soon fell into the hands of another abusive lover who not only violated her, but also traumatized her children from the previous marriage.
My name is Ashabi. I am a visually impaired. When I met my former husband, I was coming from an abusive home, so where I had 3 children. So when I left the place, I had determined that I wouldn't have anything to do with any man. But when I met this man, being an elderly person, he convinced me that I needed not to stay alone, and that I needed someone to help me, look after my children. So I decided to go with him. So initially we were okay, he did well, he pampered me, he never used to get angry and all that. But immediately I had his first child for him, everything changed. He started to see the son I had in my previous home as a rival. He began to call them bastards and all that. Whenever they offended him, he called them bastards and beat them anyhow. So we went on. Then at any slightest mistake, he used to beat me. He beat me to an extent one day that I broke a tooth. So till now, the tooth is still shaking. I did not remove it. They asked me to remove it. I said no, because it's a front tooth. So, and when it was getting too much, I confronted him, because there was a day we were fighting and he was looking for, there was a box, it had an iron rod, and he said he was looking for that rod, that he wanted to use it to break my head. So, but I did not wait. Before we settled, I threatened him that if you don't stop beating me, after today, the next time you beat me, I'll take your case to the state government. So he stopped, but he did not stop abusing me verbally. you know. And then when I was with him, I was responsible for the upkeep of the house. I was responsible for the children's feeding, their school fees, clothing, including himself. I was responsible for his welfare. So whenever I called him and said, but this situation, I don't know, what are we doing about it? He would tell me, pray now, it's you. Whenever you want things to change, things will definitely change. So I used to see myself as, what kind of a thing is this? So he used to tell me, there was a time we quarreled, and he told me that I should carry my two left legs out of his house. It was when I came into his home that his things started getting destroyed. That day I wept, and I wept because I did not have the money to move, because I was really tired of the whole thing. So I felt bad. And people told me again that if you leave his house, who will take care of you? Who will look after your children? And me too, I started thinking, but this thing is true. If I leave his house now, I'll start paying rent, I'll start buying the children's clothes and everything. And these were things I was doing even while I was in his house. There was a day he sent my son out of the house. He said because the boy did not sweep, and I was the one that sent him on errand. And we told him I sent him on errand, but he still beat the boy and sent him out of the house from 7 o'clock in the morning. When it was getting to around 6 in the evening, I called one of my brothers, and that was where the boy slept till the following day. So my brother brought the boy home, and he settled everything for us. What made me left his house was that his daughter, because he has children with another woman before I met him, and my daughter, that's the one I brought from another home too, they quarreled. And instead of him to settle it for them, he told the girl that he said my daughter was trying to dictate to his daughter in her own house, in her own father's house. So I now thought of it, that what kind of implication will this have on this girl? Are you trying to tell her that this is not her father's house? So I decided that, okay, I needed to protect the interest of the children. If it were to be only me, I would have stayed and continued to receive the abuse. But the children, no. Because I care so much about their future, I took all of them. I rented an apartment. Until today, we are there and we are living fine. I'm still continuing with my responsibilities. Then whenever he had any money, he spent it on cars. Yeah, and he would lie that someone gave him the car and all that. Meanwhile, we were hungry in the home. But today, though it's not there for us, but we are happy and we don't have any problem.
Pushed but not crushed, Ashabi has made a decision to live for herself and her children. At the time of gathering this report, Ashabi has commenced steps in making her baby fathers responsible for the upkeep of their kids.
All right. Thank you for watching that with us. And from what we've seen and heard right there from the duo of Yemisi and Ashabi, these two stories seem a little bit similar. Um, just a little bit differences here and there. The both of them are out of the relationship right now, and they are giving much more to themselves and their children from the respective relationship. And so, my ladies, I want us to start. There are some reasons women generally give for wanting to stay in a toxic relationship. So, very quickly, I just want us to highlight some of these reasons you think women would give, whether with a disability or without a disability, would give to stay or to remain or to continue to endure an abusive relationship.
Some of them because of their parents, they don't disobey their parents, and some because of what people would say about them leaving their husband's house. So that's all I can say.
All right, thank you very much for that one. So she's saying some people give excuses from their family, say, oh, my parents, they've asked me to stay back, they want me to stay back. And some would just think, oh, what would people think about me? What would the society feel about me living this relationship? Becky, Help us on that one.
Okay, thanks for the question. For me, one of the first reasons that women with disabilities have for why they remain in toxic relationships is fear. I've seen that play a lot in my interactions with women directly who are in toxic relationships. And also from the video, I could hear that one of the primary concerns was that fear of the unknown, fear of being alone. And then the second one that I point to is when the person who is your partner is your direct caregiver, your primary caregiver. So a lot of times that care, that access to care is a concern, especially to a person with disability who is dependent, not overly independent. So if the person is dependent and needs that self-care provided by a primary caregiver, and if that primary caregiver is that intimate partner, the person has become dependent and the tendency to want to remain so that you can have that availability of care support is there and keeps them in toxic relationships. The third one I would say is economic dependence. A lot of women with disabilities are not independently, they're not financially, they don't have financial capacity to take care of themselves. So some of them depend on the partner and are willing to take on abuse because of that economic dependence on that abusive partner. So these are the reasons I've seen and heard from women with disabilities who are in toxic relationships and why they do not leave. Thank you.
For me, well, I think that um, at the very base, we have the mindset of our people. And then, Frecky would be right when she said that, a lot of women with disabilities are afraid to be alone. I think it has a lot to do with mindset. The society already makes it look like being single, or rather being unmarried, is some kind of plague. So you need prayers, you need deliverance sessions, something must be wrong with you for you to be alone. And then for a woman with disability, because you already have a disability, yeah, you want to prove to everybody that, yeah, despite my disability, I still made it down, the aisle. So when you are in a toxic relationship and you know that you're supposed to step out because you want to prove a point, you want to make everybody know that I'm a woman with disability and I can keep my home, so you stay there. So I think the mindset has a lot to play in this. And then secondly, I also think that, a lot of women with disabilities and their parents and, baby guardians and well-wishers feel like they are disempowered. So in such a case where they find themselves in this abusive relationship, they feel like, okay, this is moving from having no social protection or social security to something that looks a bit legitimate, and long lasting. So because of that, let me just stick with it, and then they begin to endure all that abuse. That's what I think from my own, little bit.
Thank you very much, Mary, for that beautiful submission right there. And from what I can pick, from what you, Becky, and Grace have talked about, I think one major reason why any woman would stay back in an abusive relationship would be, what would people say? So far, we've all talked about the society, and it brings me to the issues around stigmatization. Okay, so for a woman who is without disability, uh, there's a lot of stigma. And so for a woman with a disability going through GBV, the stigmatization level is raised to power 10. Because, I mean, just like Mary had said, that some people believe that for you as a woman with disability, you are even lucky to be in a relationship, you are lucky to be married. And so getting out of the marriage is not an option, like we've seen in the case of EMC, according to um, the documentary we watched. And yeah, how do we begin to rise above issues around stigmatization, especially as women with disabilities? Because it forms a major stumbling block that prevents you from being free from abuse and its trauma. So I'm asking, as women with disabilities, how do we begin to tackle the issue of stigmatization so that it doesn't allow us to remain in toxic relationships?
When it comes to the issue of an abusive relationship or marriage, you should put aside disability and fight for your life, because your life is more important than what people would say. Or because I believe when there is life, you have other opportunity, you have other opportunities coming your way to live a good life. So when it comes to for women with disability, please, when it comes to issues like this, put aside disability and fight for your life and not what people would say. Your life is more important. don't don't get to a stage where you feel because you're a person with disability and people would say you should appreciate the fact that you're married. No, if you are not alive, you can be married. So please put aside disability and fight for your life. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks for the question. So, how would a woman with disability deal with stigma that comes as a result of, especially when she's facing GBV? I believe that stigma can come from different places. And the one that is most debilitating is self stigmatization. A lot of women self stigmatize. And so, even when maybe society or the environment is not projecting on them, they project within themselves and they feel that they are not worthy of anything outside of that toxic relationship. So self-stigmatization must be dealt with by women with disabilities. I also believe that a woman with disability should learn, if she has forgotten, her self-worth. When you do not see yourself as a precious gem, you would take on as a person, if a person treats you as rubbish. So what is your self-worth? What worth do you have in that relationship? If it has been taken from you, you need to find it back. And this goes to both unmarried and married ladies with disabilities. We need to come to the place where every day we build ourselves up to know and understand that we are worthy of loving relationships, that we are worthy of being cared for, that we are worthy of being taken seriously in any interaction or relationship or position we put ourselves in. So, two things a woman with disability or how she can deal with stigma is deal with the issue of self-stigmatization. And if you have lost your self-worth, begin slowly but surely to find it so that when you take decisions that may not look like what people want it to be, you know that, man, I was losing myself in this and I needed to step out. So that I don't hold the juice. Let me stop there. Thank you.
First of all, let me start from the general one. Sensitization, yes, we need to sensitize the society that women with disabilities are first women, before, we bring their disabilities to fore. And then for me personally, based on the first answer I gave, I think that women and women with disabilities need to disabuse their minds. All these lies that we believe that men are scarce, all men cheat. Oh my God, there is this 7 billion women to 1 billion men, or what? How they put those statistics? And then I have one. I'm so lucky. How many of my counterparts are not married? Here am I. And all of those funny things. We really need to get them behind us and know that we are worth more than that. We need to place a value on ourselves in terms of what we do, in terms of our financial capacity, our self-development, just personal growth, so that we begin to have confidence in who we are more than who we are attached to. Because, like one of my mentors would say, at the end of the day, your actual you is who you become after your MRS is removed. So if MRS is all that gives you value and gives you worth, then you have a lot of work to do, really. So I think that for me, the basic thing, we need to disabuse our minds and know that all these things that we see out there, all this Twitter religion about men are scarce, all men cheat, this, that, we need to put them behind us and have our own truths and hold on to our own truths and then watch them work for us. That's what I think.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, ladies, for those submissions right there. placing value, premium value, like I always say, premium value on yourself, all the self-worth, all the self-love, self-growth and development altogether. It helps you fight GBV or any other situation when they come facing you as a woman who is with a disability. Okay, moving on, ladies. At what point should a woman take a bow in an abusive relationship? Especially because we live in a society that believes so much in tolerance, believes so much in endurance, perseverance. So, at what point would you advise any woman with a disability going through any form of GBV, be it physical, emotional, financial, social, any form of GBV, to take a bow?
So for me, I think because I want to avoid making a blanket statement so that I'm not quoted somewhere to say that Frecky said. So this is me. I know what I can take. I know my where it will not happen. But I would believe, and I want to say this: once your life is in danger, I think you need to find at least that immediate separation for us to now see what is happening here is necessary. That's what I think. I think that once you find that your life is in danger, you need to be able to seek the kind of counsel that allows you to have that initial that separation where you're removed from that volatile and violent space, and then begin to walk to see, what are the triggers, what's happening in this space. In fact, it might take, don't wait for it to be so bad that you're about to die for you to seek for help. But I would say, based on an extreme, once you sense that your life is in danger, you may need to separate yourself from that dangerous situation and seek answers, whatever the answer may be. So that's for me.
All right, thank you very much. Once your life is in danger, don't wait for it to be so bad before you take a bow, so that we do not have a case like that of the popular musicians we all have been hearing about recently. Uh, after all the money, the fame, you know, the popularity, the career she has built, and just like that, she's no longer with us. Mary, what would you say at this time? What time in a relationship, at what point should a woman going through GBV take a bow?
Okay. For me, let's start with the relationship before it gets in, before we solidify it and then it becomes a marriage. There's certain things that you should really look out for when you're in a relationship. I don't think any man who starts beating his wife, in a marriage setting, I am not sure that there was no sign during the relationship period, because I feel like we women, we have the tendency of falling so deep in love that we get blind. And then for women with disabilities that already feel favored, their blindness is like raised to power 10. So, but there are these little things, the way he will shout at you sometimes, when you're having simple arguments. I, I will never, all those kind of strong statements. The way, I don't know, there's just something I feel some things are commonsensical. There's a way a man will talk to you, look at you, stress on some particular things. I am this kind of person. I don't tolerate, I don't. You already know these are signs. You don't need to get into marriage and then you say, oh, he never beats me. Even though he never beat you, he shouted at you. He made you feel somehow, one kind. I feel when you see those things in the first place, separate, look for help, seek help, maybe report to your pastor, your imam, your parents, your whatever. There was, we went out and the way this man shouted at me today, I don't understand it. I don't know, what do you think I should do? Have a conversation with your partner. And then if you people now enter into the marriage and then such things like that begin to spring up, honestly, before your life is involved, maybe because me, I love myself so much, because I will not wait until my life is involved. As the only child of my mother, there are certain things I will not even tolerate. It's not pride, though. It's just the way I was raised. Like, you talk to me in a particular way, like I'm valueless, like I'm a nobody. I'm so out. You meet me at the counselor's office. That's what I have to say.
Thank you for that one, Mary. Of course, right there, I mean, if you place a lot of value on your life as a woman or as an individual, nobody would have the right or the authority to demean you as an individual. So I think that is explainable enough. Grace, do you have any other thing to add?
When it's becoming life-threatening, you should leave and separate for a while. If it is something that can be solved, that can be resolved, then you can come back to the house. But if not, you should stay away for a while. Thank you.
At times, the action might not really be done, but the words alone, words are powerful. That will tell you, I will kill you. I will deal with it. Especially the word, I will kill you. One day he will kill you, honestly. So if you hear that word frequently, I will kill you, please look for help. Tell somebody, look for support. Know how to see how that word kill does not come to reality. So if the word is almost frequent, I think and I know you should leave, have a separate also be somewhere else before that word come to play as it ought to. Because the words we say every time, even if it doesn't mean it, the slightest mistake might end the person's life. So when the verbal attitude is frequent, and even a kind of it might not really beat you per se, but there are some silly things people do to you. Attitude kindly, might want to push you. What if I push you now? An attempt of trying to push you, all those if I channel you now, So they want to use the word and the action a little bit of those kind of things are really threatening. Please, once you get those things frequently, it's time for you to leave before the main action is done. Thank you.
Okay, so my final question today on this topic would be, according to the documentary and to every other woman out there who have been through one form of GBV, that's gender-based violence or the other, will notice that one simple thing is that these women are out of that relationship. How would we advise such women who have been through it, who are out? What should they do? How should they continue to engage their lives? Because I mean, some of these reasons that these women might have given for wanting to stay back are genuine. You hear things like, how do I take care of myself and my children going forward? How do I manage it? How would you, what would you advise them to do? How do they develop a coping mechanism to ensure that they do not get frustrated and return to that abusive relationship or rush into another toxic one?
There is nothing is impossible if you believe in God and you are determined to find a way. Like we mentioned, financially independent. So it might be difficult trying to start life again, but I think first of all they should take the bold step of moving out of that relationship or of the marriage. When you do that, I know somehow you are going to get engaged in something that will benefit you and help you move on with life. But first of all, take that bold step of separating or moving out. Thank you.
Okay, well, it might be difficult. Well, it will be difficult, It's not just the finances, you come out, you're never the same. That's the truth. Once you come out of once you get divorced or separated, you come out of a marriage, you are never the same, never the same. So it will be difficult. You have a lot of things to deal with, more internally than externally. But it's worth it. That's what I want them to know. It's worth it because it could have been worse. If you stayed back, it could have been worse. So they should understand that it's worth it. All that they're going through is going to be for a time. It will come and it will pass, and you'll be stronger for it. You'll be better for it. Get yourself empowered financially so that you can begin a good life, a better life with your children, like it happens most of the time, and yourself. And then most importantly for me, connect with people who love you genuinely. your parents, if they love you, your friends, you can join associations, maybe in church or something. Just connect. Don't be disconnected from people. You stand alone, you die alone. A fire, how they say that thing, a fire that comes together burns longer, something like that. But just make sure that you're connected with the right people. And of course, they will continue to provide you with the emotional support that you need, and to keep going and all that. Yeah, that's what I think.
What I will say is, abuse all around is hurtful. The moment you have this positive, brighter picture of, if I leave this relationship, nobody will abuse me again. No beating, no harsh words. That gives you an inner joy. Even when you are financially unstable, you understand? That aspect of nobody is going to harass me like this anymore. That joy, that inner joy should be able to, when you want to leave, just think of the positive aspect of our life may be. It might, of course, it should not be perfect, so rosy, but as long as you've been abused or you're in a toxic relationship, the positive aspect gives you this joy. You can move out. Help is always on its way. That's the truth. At times it comes slower, at times it comes quicker, but there's always help. And also, you have to pray, meditate, pray to God. Let you have that grace that can keep you outside, that when you're out of relationship, how you're going to cope. Meet people that can advise you rightly. Like Mary said, meet friends, always connect with people, don't stay alone. All of that can really, really will help a lady that's in a business and she that wants to go out. Be prayerful, have the better part of when you do that, what honest you do, and socialize with wide. Just try your best, but leave that relationship, because the joy you will have, it's far better than where you're in that relationship. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Asaki, for that submission. And I hope women out there are listening and drawing one or two things away from all our submissions today. Becky, let's have your thoughts. How would you give uh, succor to that woman who is just out of an abusive relationship?
So for me, thanks for the question. I would say to that woman that change is not easy for anybody. Next steps, next phases, everything next is full of uncertainty, and you may feel that, if you may feel overwhelmed, you feel, oh, I've lost a lot. But like everybody has said on this call, what you have lost cannot be compared to what you found. You have found peace and freedom and liberty. You found a second chance to find your purpose again and find a meaning in life. So rather than look back in the past and look back on regrets and ask yourself, if I had known, I may have seen the red flags and I did not, or I wasted so many years. Why don't you look at now, at repair, at progress, at moving forward? One of the ways I would say that a woman who is coming out can cope would be to share her story. I believe that when she opens her voice and begins to speak about maybe what she went through, she herself learns, she sees others, empowers, and she in turn is empowered by the experience. Number two, you may need to also find support system. And a good support system is in other persons who are survivors of GBV. They are available, they are around. You may want to find persons who are women with disabilities or women without disabilities. And with each other, you can draw strength and grow. Another thing you can do is that you do not want to find another relationship and go on a rebound. You're making the same mistakes or dressed in a different way, as we saw in I Shall Be, where she went from one toxic relationship straight into another. So you want to deal with your emotions to a great extent and heal from the first relationship before you say you want to find any other thing, so that you don't find yourself repeating the same cycle, vicious cycle. Finally, find custody of my children, or I'm seeking legal aid to get him to pay welfare for my children. So don't be afraid to do the necessary to get your power back. So these are some of the things I believe that a person who's coming out can do to cope. And of course, spiritual therapy. There's nothing like spiritual therapy. When your spirit finds healing and wholeness, other aspects begin to resonate that. So, ladies, we're going to do this. I want everybody to say any short last words you may have on this specific topic, especially with the direction that we took it today. Starting from signs or stigma, how to deal with stigma, or really how to cope. So last words on this topic, you have 30 seconds to do that. Any last words, and you can address anybody. You may want to address the woman with disability herself, or you want to address society or systems, whoever, just a last word. So I'm going to start last words. I'll start with Grace. Say your last word. After Grace, or Saki, after that, Mary. And we're done.
Okay, so let me say disability doesn't make you less human, and you have every right to live a happy life. So please ensure you keep yourself alive. Thank you.
Dear woman, whether with disability or without disability, what is the cost of your peace? That's my question to you. What does it cost for you to be truly peaceful? For you, because you can't even be progressive in an atmosphere that is not peaceful. So what is it going to cost? Is it going to cost your life for you to be peaceful? Or is it going to cost wisdom for you to be peaceful? I think that if every woman can answer that question, it would help us to put ourselves in an appropriate posture against GBV. Thank you.
For me, my last word is this: whatever position you find yourself currently, if you find that the reason for why you're here, because after all said and done, your life is of utmost value. And this I want to address: any man, any woman who is a perpetrator of abuse, with whether you are a person with or without disability, you are currently a criminal in the eyes of the law in Nigeria. One day you will be found out. Please, there is no excuse for violence. Thank you very much.
All right, the ladies have, quite, said it all, and without further ado, we've come to the end of the show today. I wish a woman out there will pick one or two and make good use of it and move out of that toxic, abusive relationship, that traumatizing experience. Take the bull by the horn. The ladies have said it's not going to be easy, but trust in God and trust in yourself. Believe that you can do it. Be determined, and your determination will definitely take you places. Thank you, ladies, for joining on this wonderful episode as we've discussed the prevalence of GBV amongst women with disabilities. The conversation will continue next week with another fresh package of Bold TV brought to you by Bold Heart Network. Please like, share, comment on our videos on Facebook and on YouTube. It is very important. And while you watch on YouTube, remember that you need to subscribe so that as soon as we upload other videos in future, you will definitely get a notification to that effect. Thank you for watching. Thank you for always being there. And to everyone who has taken out time to support Bold TV, we appreciate you and we cannot thank you enough. We want you to continue to do that. And if you would like to support us, you want to encourage the ladies, you want to let the show keep running on your airwaves, please reach out to any of the hosts, Freki, Abiose, Afion, Osaki, or myself, Tomisin Adiefa, and we'll be able to do justice to it. Once again, thank you, ladies, for being here. I really do appreciate you. Until next week, when we come with another fresh package of Bold TV brought to you by Bold Heart Network. From here, I say bye-bye. Ladies, unmute your mic and let's say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.